Thinking about moving to South Carolina, but stuck between the historic charm of Charleston and the growing opportunities in Columbia? Don't make a move until you watch this. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jill Heydrich, your local real estate expert here in Columbia, South Carolina. My passion is helping people just like you find their dream home and settle into our fantastic community. Today, we're hitting a major point of indecision for many people considering a move to the Palmetto State. Columbia versus Charleston. We'll examine everything from housing costs to daily life, providing you with a clear picture to make the right choice. All right, let's dive into the money because let's be real, that's a huge factor when you're thinking about moving. We're kicking off this Columbia versus Charleston showdown with a look at the cost of living. And let me tell you, there is a pretty noticeable difference here. First up, housing. This is usually the biggest piece of the puzzle, right? If you're looking to buy a home, you generally find that your dollar stretches a lot further in Columbia than it does in Charleston. Charleston is a historic coastal city, and that comes with, well, a higher price tag. We're talking about a significantly different median home prices. Now, it's not just the sticker price of the house. You also have to factor in things like property taxes, insurance, and this is where the location starts to show a difference. Specifically, let's discuss homeowners insurance, particularly its coverage for items like your roof. Being right on the coast, Charleston is more susceptible to hurricanes and tropical storms. This impacts insurance rates. You'll likely find that insuring your roof and your home in general is more expensive in Charleston due to the increased risk of wind and storm damage compared to being inland in Columbia. While South Carolina generally has lower property taxes compared to many other states, variations can still occur between counties. This is something we looked at closely when you're ready to find your specific neighborhood in the Columbia area. Beyond housing, let's discuss the everyday essentials: groceries, utilities, and transportation. While costs can fluctuate, you're likely to find that Columbia is generally more affordable for these day-to-day expenses compared to Charleston. Consider your monthly budget. Those smaller savings can add up over time. So when it comes to keeping more money in your pocket, Columbia definitely has an advantage, especially when you factor in things like insurance, costs related to our distance from the coast. However, there's more to a city than just the costs. Next, let's examine the job market and the economy in both Columbia and in Charleston. All right, so we've discussed the cost of living and how your money might go a little bit further in Columbia, especially considering factors like insurance, which vary depending on location. But a big part of where you choose to live is also about how you make that money, right? So let's look at the job market. Economy in both Columbia and in Charleston. These two cities have pretty different economic drivers. Charleston, with its beautiful historic district and coastal location, boasts a robust tourism industry. The Port of Charleston is also a major economic engine for the state. So if you're in the hospitality, logistics, or any of those related fields, Charleston offers numerous opportunities in these areas. Now shift gears and look at Columbia, South Carolina. Being the state capital, it has a large government sector. We also have the University of South Carolina, which is a major employer and brings a focus on education and on research. Plus, Columbia has a strong and growing healthcare industry. So if your career is in government, education, or healthcare, you're going to find a lot of options right here in Columbia. It's about identifying where your skills and experience align most closely and with the available opportunities. Both cities have their strengths, but they pull from different areas of the economy. So that's a quick look at the job scenes. Knowing the dominant industries in each city helps you figure out which one might be a better fit for your career. Next up, we're going to explore the vibe and the culture of Columbia and Charleston. What does it actually feel like to live there? All right, we've discussed the practical aspects, the cost of living and the job market. But choosing a place to live is also about finding community so that it feels just like you. So let's dive into the lifestyle and the culture of Columbia and Charleston. And let me tell you, these cities have their distinct personalities. Charleston has that undeniable, charming, historic coastal vibe. You've got the beautiful architecture, the rich history, and the strong connection to the water. The pace of life in Charleston, it can feel a bit more relaxed, as if you're on an island time, even though it's a busy tourist destination. There's a vibrant culinary scene, lots of art galleries, and that unique southern charm. Now, Columbia, it has its own kind of energy. It's the state capital, home to the major university, and it boasts a growing arts and cultural scene too, with a distinct flavor. The pace here is often described as being a bit more southern comfortable, not as slow as some small towns, but not as bustling and tourist-driven as Charleston. We have great parks, the Riverbank Zoo and Garden, a growing food scene, and a real sense of community, especially within specific neighborhoods. If you're dreaming of being close to the beach, surrounded by centuries of history, and don't mind the tourist crowds, Charleston might be calling your name. However, if you're seeking a more centrally located spot with a dynamic atmosphere, a strong local community, and easy access to various parts of the state, Columbia truly shines. So you see, it's not just about the numbers. It's about where you feel most at home, where the lifestyle fits you. Next, we'll briefly discuss the climate and the weather differences between Columbia and Charleston. Okay, let's do a quick check on the climate and weather. It's South Carolina, so you can generally expect a warm, humid, subtropical climate in both cities. But being on the coast versus being more inland does have a notable difference, especially at certain times of the year. Charleston, being right on the Atlantic, gets the coastal influence. This can mean slightly milder winters and those refreshing sea breezes in the summer, which can sometimes make the heat feel a little less intense than it actually is. However, the trade-off is the higher risk of hurricanes and tropical storms, especially during hurricane season. Columbia, on the other hand, it's more inland. We still get warm, humid summers, but without that direct coastal influence, it can sometimes feel a bit hotter. Our winters are generally mild, but we might see a bit more variation in temperatures compared to Charleston. The big difference here is that being inland significantly reduces the risk of a direct impact from the hurricanes. So if you have easy access to the beach and those coastal breezes are a top priority, you're comfortable with the increased hurricane risk, Charleston has the appeal. If you prefer to stay away from the immediate hurricane threat and a more central location is key, Columbia offers that. That gives you a basic idea of the weather you can expect in each city. Now let's move on to considering how easy it is to get around and what's nearby, the proximity and the location of Columbia versus Charleston. Okay, so we've covered the cost, the jobs, the lifestyle, and the weather. Now let's talk about getting around and where these cities are located in relation to other places you might want to visit. Consider your commute. Travel, weekend trips, proximity, and location are key factors. Charleston is right there on the coast, which is fantastic if being near the beach is one of your top priorities. You've got beautiful beaches just a short drive away. However, being a coastal city, getting to other major parts of the state or neighboring states often involves getting on Interstate 26 and heading inland. And let's talk about the daily grind, traffic. This is a significant issue, and honestly, Charleston traffic can be quite challenging. Because of its popularity, the historic layout of the city, and the influx of tourists, and all the people who live there, you can often spend a significant amount of time just sitting in traffic. Whether you're commuting to work or just trying to get across town, it's a big issue down there. Columbia, on the other hand, generally has a much more manageable traffic situation. I'm not saying it's perfect. We have our rush hours and our peaks like any other city. The overall congestion is significantly less than what you will experience in Charleston. Our central location, combined with the city's well-planned layout of interstates and major roads, make daily navigation so much smoother. So if you're someone who loves the weekend trips to the mountains or visit different beaches along the coast, or maybe you have family in other parts of the state or region, being in Columbia can offer a bit more convenience and shorter travel times overall, both for those longer trips and for your day-to-day commute. Consider where you see yourself traveling to most often, and be sure to factor in what your daily commute would be like. Being centrally located in Columbia versus being on the coast in Charleston means different travel times and convenience for those getaways or visits, as well as significantly different experience with day-to-day traffic. Now that we've broken down these key areas, let's wrap it up and help you determine which city might be the perfect for you in 2025. All right, we've covered a lot of ground comparing Columbia and Charleston. The cost of living, job opportunities, the lifestyle and the culture, the climate, and how easy it is to get around. including the sometimes crazy traffic in Charleston. So to quickly recap, if affordability, especially with housing and insurance, and a more manageable daily commute are high on your list, Columbia in 2025 is worth a serious look. We also have a strong economy driven by our government, education, and health care, and a growing connected community. Charleston is beautiful. It's a historic city with lots to offer, especially if being right on the coast is your dream. But if you're looking for a vibrant, centrally located city with a lower cost of living and less traffic, and you want to be close to everything, South Carolina has a lot to offer. Columbia might just be your perfect fit. Choosing where to move is such a huge decision, and my goal this channel is to give you the real, unfiltered picture of what it's like to live right here in the Columbia area. If this comparison has you thinking that Columbia could be the place for your next move, I'd love to help you. I work with clients every day to find their ideal home and neighborhood here. You can find all of my contact information in the description below the video. Feel free to call, text, or email me with your questions about moving to Columbia, and I will respond personally. I'm here to be your resource and your guide. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insights into living in and moving to Columbia, South Carolina. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.